Hello everyone, and welcome back to the 3T Path channel, and welcome back to our Uddhava-gita course. So we're in the middle of this fascinating chapter on the mystic yoga superpowers, the siddhas, the vibhutis of yoga. A great, fascinating theme. And now Krishna, we're in the section where Krishna is describing for each of the 8, as you remember from the past classes, there are 8 like mega superpowers. There were 10, still amazing, but considered like secondary powers. And then there were others that were mentioned, a list of 5 others. So he is going through the 8 super mega powers, describing how the yogi would attain each of them. And we went through a few of them in the last class, and now we're going to continue with the list in this class. So you will learn in this class how to be able to control everyone and obtain everything you want with mystic superpowers. But it might not be so easy, but Krishna is going to show you how it's done. And of course, if you want to watch all the previous classes, make sure you become a member of this channel, and the instructions are here in the description of the video, and then you can access the whole course. You already have 80 recorded classes. This is the 81st class of this course. It's a huge, beautiful course on this amazing book, the Uddhava-gita. So here we go. We're in the 11th canto, 15th chapter, verse 13. So now we're going to learn about one more superpower. Fixing his mind completely in me, within the element of ahankara, false ego, generated from the mode of goodness. So the aham tattva, you're going to focus on the false ego, which is generated in the Sankhya philosophy. You see that false ego is generated from sattva in this case. So there's different explanations of Sankhya, but here he's saying the one that's generated from false ego. So you're going to focus on the false ego. Now the ahankar, the aham tattva here is the word in Sanskrit. The aham tattva is at the very beginning of the tree, of the chain of all the of material creation. It's like at the very top. So that's why entering with the yogi entering these supremely subtle, primordial aspects of all of material creation in the Sankhya. So because you're hooking in at the very top, then you have control of everything that's below, if that makes sense. It's, you know, if you can access like, you know, the root code, then you can access all the other things, you know, all the other accounts, everything else, because you're going right at the top and then you have access to everything else. So that's the idea. So let me finish reading. So fixing his mind completely in me, within the element of false ego generated from the mode of goodness, the yogi obtains the power of mystic acquisition, by which he becomes the proprietor of the senses of all living entities. He obtains such perfection because his mind is absorbed in me. So now, very important that in this section we're seeing this extremely devotional path to these mystic superpowers. Krishna said, look, these 8 mega superpowers, they come from me. I am giving them. So you have to go directly to God, fill out the form and request it directly from him. Nobody else can give these powers. Lord Brahma can't, Lord Shiva can. You have to go directly to Lord Krishna and say, look, this is what I want. But then the prerequisite for it, though, of course, we explained in the last class. If you missed the last class, make sure you watch it, because I went deeply into how the whole meditation, mystic power thing works, why it's so dangerous. Very important that you watch the last class. So, with his mind completely focused in me, so it would be hard enough for a yogi just to be able to meditate on the element of the false ego, of ahankar. That would be so hard. Extremely difficult. In the Yoga Sutras, Patanjali talks about the yogi who manages to create samadhi, to fix his mind on buddhi, which is even lower down from ahankar. It's more of an evolute than ahankar. So just the concept buddhi, because buddhi is an element, but buddhi, so he says that the yogi who manages to merge his mind just in buddhi, in the element buddhi of the cosmos, he would be in a non-corporified body, a non-corporeal body, for trillions of years, it says in the commentaries. Trillions of years. Just in a state of samadhi, of suspension. So fine, buddhi. Now this is ahankar, so that would be hard enough. But it's not just meditating on ahankar. Again, these powers are not coming from material nature. They're not coming from Prakriti. These powers are coming from God. God is giving Shakti, is giving the power to the meditator who wants this. You shouldn't want this, but if you want this, He's giving it to you. So you're meditating completely in me within ahankar. So Krishna says you have to meditate in me within ahankar. So it's not just meditating ahankar, but meditating in Krishna. You have to meditate on Krishna within ahankar. So that's why you don't walk around, you don't see people with these mega superpowers, because this is like super hard. This is like the highest level of meditation that's possible. This is literally the highest ever, forever in anywhere. This is the highest level. This is it. This is the topmost powers of meditation. So you'd have to have this inconceivable power of meditation. But notice how devotion is. Fix his mind completely in me within ahankar. Okay? And then at the end he repeats, he obtains such perfection because his mind is absorbed in me. So he repeats it. He does a little sandwich. He starts saying, look, in me, and he finishes completely absorbed in me. It's a little sandwich. So look, this is completely in me. And now what's interesting with this power, this specific power, is that the yogi, he becomes the proprietor of the senses of the living entities. So he can experience anything, because just as God is within your heart, God is within all living beings. Very important concept of Paramatma. So God is within every living being, and God is always there, absorbing, seeing, accompanying, witnessing everything every living being does. Always there. Everything you're thinking, feeling, experiencing, God is there with you. So what Krishna is saying is, so he's got that, God has this, he has this access. So he says, look, I'll let you have it. I'll give you I'll let you in. Because God, why is he doing this? He's giving these God-like powers. These 8 they're God-like superpowers. They're basically like saying, okay, look, you can become God. You can experience, you can't become God because, I'm God, I'm sorry, the position is taken. But I'll tell you what, I'll let you experience being God. Krishna is so open, he's so liberal, he's like, look, I love you, you're my amsa, you're my part, you're my best friend. So you know what? What's mine is yours, mi casa is su casa, me world is su world, me universe is su universe. Look, you can have the whole thing. Look, what do you want? He's sharing. He's not like a jealous, no, only I can have and you can't. He's like, hey, just, you got to get qualified for it, sure. Right? I mean, you might love your son, but you're not going to give your 8-year-old the keys to your car and let him drive off because you love him. So you're going to make sure he gets a license. And then you might get him a car. You let him use your car. So he'll get you qualified, But he's giving you godlike power. So just as God has access to everyone's senses, so everything you're experiencing, which is actually a very nice devotional meditation, whatever you're experiencing, that's why we say we offer everything to Krishna. That's why the base is, the real practice of yoga we do, Bhagavad-gita, the path of enlightened life, not the path of meditation only, is to make everything you do an offering unto Krishna. Whatever you do, make that an offering unto me, Krishna says in Bhagavad-gita. That is the foundational concept of yoga. And the reason why that's foundation, the reason it works, is that God is actually within you, experiencing everything you're experiencing, seeing everything you're thinking, feeling all the emotions you're feeling. He's there. He's there. He's the witness. So the idea is, make it really nice for Krishna. Have a wonderful life, have wonderful experiences for Krishna, because he's right there with you. And then everything becomes transcendental. Everything becomes even more blissful. Not less, more. Because when you share, you get more. When you share love, do you become sad? I just gave my love, so now I'm sad. No, you become more. The more love you share, the more love you experience, right? It's not a material thing that runs out. If I share my money, I will have less money. I had $1,000 here, you can have 100. Now I have 900. It was nice, but I have less now. And I'm gonna, I can't keep doing it, I'm gonna run out. But love is not material. The more you share, the more you get. And so because we're talking on the spiritual level of love, which is what ultimately spirituality is, love, that's the quality of the soul. The highest manifestation of the soul is love. So because you're sharing love, with it becomes better. So have a meal. We offer our meal first to Krishna. And then we share, and then we experience it with Krishna. And you're going out on a nice walk, you go out on a nice walk with Krishna. You're going to be a good person, you're going to go do a nice job at work, you're going to clean your house, do it with Krishna, share it. Oh, I've got a nice clean house now, Krishna. You're sharing it. So we're sharing because Krishna is there. But now Krishna says, look, you do this meditation, specifically this one, meditating in me, within ahamkar. And then, you know what? I'll let you in to everything. I'll give you that access. You can experience everything. Like, what's it like to be a whale? Okay, you get that. Now I want to see what's it like to be a demigod. I want to be Indra throwing thunderbolts. Okay. I'll get you a pass for that. Backstage pass, you can experience what it's like to be Indra, to be Lord Brahma, to be this, that, fish, a fly, a bee, a tree, whatever you want. The king of pop star, I'll give you access to all of that. So it's very interesting, sharing this access. Purport. It is significant that in order to acquire each mystic perfection, one must fix one's mind on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So of course, as we've been emphasizing, these mega superpowers, Krishna says, they come from me and they all require fixing your mind entirely, completely, samadhi in Him. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who was a spiritual master in our lineage from the beginning of the last century, states that those who pursue such perfections without fixing the mind on the Supreme Personality of Godhead acquire a gross and inferior reflection of each mystic potency. So they don't get the whole thing. They get some, like a crummy copy, like a clone of it, not the real thing. They get a fake version of it. Those who are not conscious of the Lord cannot actually synchronize their minds perfectly with the universal functions, and therefore cannot elevate their mystic opulences to the universal platform. Okay, verse 14, the next mystic power, please. One who concentrates all mental activities in me, same standard, as the supersoul of that phase of the Mahatattva which manifests the chain of fruitive activities, obtains from me, whose appearance is beyond the material perception, the most excellent mystic perfection called prakamya. So, how to get prakamya? You get prakamya. It's a little complicated. Fix your mind again on Krishna, on God, but as the super soul of the word here is sutra, a word used in Sanskrit, the sutra, the chain, the sutra, translated as the chain of fruitive activities here, the chain of sutra of the Mahatattva. So very complicated. Again, what's happening here? What's the Mahatattva? In Sankhya, it's at the very top. Again, these things are at the very top of the chain of evolutes which result in the gross material elements. So it's a very top. It's like, oh, from that Mahatattva, this will happen, and this will happen, this. So it comes. So you're hacking the system at the very top, and you're going beyond just a regular hack because you're actually meditating on the power of Krishna, on the presence of God within that very subtle conceptual form of nature before it becomes manifest. The totality of nature. Mahatattva is the totality of material nature. So the sutra of the Mahatattva would be it's translated as a chain of fruitive. How does one action bring another? How does that work? The chain of fruitive activities. So you're hacking into the conceptual. It's very subtle, very conceptual. And you focusing your mind, again, on the divine presence, on Krishna entirely, Krishna within that system. So it's very, very elevated, very high. So with that, you get prakamya. So now prakamya, we can, is getting whatever you want. We can go back here to the verse where Krishna lists them. Here we go. So prakamya is obtaining or performing whatever one desires. That's prakamya, obtaining or performing whatever one desires. Okay, so that's how you get that. Purport. Srila Viraragavacharya explains that the word sutra or thread is used to indicate that the Mahatattva sustains one's fruitive activities just as a thread sustains a roll of jewels or pearls, just a roll of pearls. So the sutra, the Mahatattva, sustains these things. It's the structure that sustains material activities and fruitive results. Thus, by fixed meditation on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the soul of the Mahatattva, one can achieve the most excellent perfection called prakamya. Avyakta janmana, Krishna says in this verse, indicates that the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears from the avyakta, the spiritual sky, and that his birth is avyakta, beyond the perception of material senses. Unless one accepts the transcendental form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no possibility of obtaining prakamya or any other genuine mystic perfection. Okay, so Krishna emphasized his transcendental nature because you're meditating on the most subtle aspects of matter, already in the level of conceptual matter. So at that level of conceptual matter, Krishna obviously isn't made of matter. Obviously he's transcendental, which is always a theme from beginning to end of the Bhagavad Purana. Look, just don't forget that, the transcendence of the Lord, it's a common, so it's always like they always come back with it. It's like, don't forget this, don't forget. So So avyakta, so beyond, so you're meditating in God, on that most subtle conceptual aspect of nature. So obviously he is beyond nature, material nature completely. Okay, verse 15, next material, next superpower. One who places his consciousness on Vishnu, the supersoul, the prime mover and supreme lord of the external energy consisting of the three modes, obtains the mystic perfection of controlling other conditioned souls, their material bodies, and their bodily designations. So, as promised in the title, how to control others and get everything you want. Look at this. So this power gives you control over kshetra, gya, and kshetra. Now you might recognize these two from Bhagavad-gita, chapter 13, kshetra, gya, to indicate the knower of the kshetra being the body and your material life is the kshetra, the field of activities. The kshetra gya, who knows that, is the soul, because as the soul you have control, like you know what's going on, like, oh yeah, I know what's going on here. So you're the knower of this field. Of course, the other kshetra guy is the Lord himself, Paramatma, but you're the kshetra gya and the kshetra. So this language of kshetra and kshetra gya is used in Bhagavad Gita. And so here we have one who fixes his mind on the super soul as the supreme lord of the external energy consisting of three modes. So again, we're meditating. The meditation is on the primordial substance of this material manifestation, the three modes of nature. But not just the three modes, but specifically on Vishnu, the super soul, the Paramada, the Vishnu is the form of God that enters the universe to begin the process, from whom then Lord Brahma comes and the whole material creation can take place. So now we're going at the very conceptual aspect of, again, of Prakriti, of the material energy, but not just that, specifically Vishnu, the super soul of all material energy in that sense. So when you meditate on that, then you are having access to all the kshetra gyas and the kshetras. You can control them, do whatever you want with them. So it's very like, wow, what is it? Again, make sure you watch my last class where I say, look, this is actually crazy. Like, why would you even want any of this, right? I certainly don't want it. I don't think you want it. It's like, whoa, what? It's just Krishna saying, look, hey, I'll let you experience whatever you want. This is the big point. Krishna is saying, whatever you want. We are here in this material world because we wanted to experience other things, weird things. The whole material world is like a weird place. It's a place for like people to have weird desires. Because if you don't have weird desires, you're back home, back with Krishna. You're back in the abode of the Lord, and you're just doing your thing in love, whatever your thing is with God. Either you're a gopi, or you're a tree, or you're a parrot, or you're just, floating in a ship, chanting His glories. Like whatever your thing is, whatever your rasa is, you're doing that. That's the normal thing. So the whole prakriti, the whole material experience is like for the weird stuff. Let's do some, it's like the weird desires. Oh, I want to pretend God doesn't exist. Okie doke. Here, take a material body. Pretend God doesn't exist. No, I want to be king. I want to be a pop star. I want to be this. I want to be a snake. I want to be a tiger. I want to be an eagle. I want to be a whale. I want to be, I want to control thunder. Okay, what do you want? I want to be the sun. Okay, sun god. What do you want? Whatever. It's like a place for crazy desires. And then finally it's like, okay, no, you know what? I just want to be like God. I want to be able to have access to everyone's heart and mind. I want to be able to get anything I want in the whole universe. Okay, fine. Again, you have to be qualified for it, because Krishna's not going to, he's not irresponsible. But fine. That's the amazing thing. I love this about this path, about the Vedas. It's like, okay, fine. And then when you're done with all that nonsense, you're going to figure out that, hey, you know what? The best thing was me just loving God. That was the most fun thing. Just be nice and normal. It's like when people do crazy stuff, they're like, oh yes, I want to have a zillion dollars and buy this and that and have, the 15 Lamborghinis. And then they figure out, what's really nice? Just having love, just having a nice family. That's like just sitting down for, watching the sun. Like they figure out yeah, actually that was the nicest thing, was just being nice, being kind. When they figure out oh, actually being kind is really nice. Helping people is really nice. Oh, it wasn't all that, the glitz and the glamour. That was but the really nice thing was just being a good person, just being able to love. So then you figure out that was the best thing. So that's what it's for. Very crazy. There we go. Purport. We should remember that mystic perfection never enables a living entity to challenge the supremacy of the personality of Godhead. So again, if you're having controlling other conditioned souls, their material bodies and their bodily designations, what? And then you're going to mess everything up? No, because who gave you the license? God gave you the license. The license comes with conditions. He's like, you can't mess around. It's government lets you drive a car, but there are conditions. If you screw up, they take away your driver's license. No, you can't drive cars anymore. You're a free citizen, but there are conditions. If you commit certain crime, okay, no, you can't be free anymore, and we have to put you in a little jail now, in a cage. Can't be free anymore. So it's the same thing with God. It's okay, I'll give you all this, but there are conditions. So the condition is in this level, for one thing, the yogi has to be so purific and pure and so powerful and focused and completely focused on God, full of bhakti. His mind is completely focused on God. It's not that in perfect bhakti. It's not pure bhakti. It's not pure love that's been described in past chapters. It's not that kind of bhakti. In past chapters, we described the bhakti of the gopis, which is a bhakti of service, of love, of pleasing God. This is different. This is it's still bhakti, oh, my mind is focused on God. But it's my mind is focused on, it's not that I'm not so much worried about what God wants. I'm a little more concerned about what I want. So, there's a difference. I'm conscious of God, I'm fully focused on God, but I'm not focused on pleasing God, on seva, on love. This isn't prema. This is perfect mental focus, not prema. Very interesting. Okay, so, but anyway, but such a yogi, is under the direct supervision and control. So, you won't be able to just screw around with everybody. So you just get the experience. It's pretend you're in a plane, and then the pilot says, yeah, okay, go ahead, A pilot might let you fly a little bit. But, he's right there. So if you're he's oh, okay, well, forget that. No. You can't do it anymore. So he just lets you play God, but he's right there supervising the whole thing. In fact, one cannot obtain such perfections without the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Thus, one's controlling power can never disturb the plan of Lord Krishna. One is allowed to exhibit mystic control only within the confines of the law of God. And even a great yogi who transgresses the law of God by his so-called mystic opulences will be severely punished, as revealed in the story of Durvasha Muni cursing Ambarisha Maharaj, which is a great story. You know, if you don't know this story, so I guess it's not going to be part of the Uddhava-gita, so I won't be able to share it here in this course, but it's in the Bhagavatam, and it's a very important story of the Bhagavatam because it's exactly the story of a great, powerful, mystic yogi, one with like great siddhas, a super powerful yogi, one of these like mega powerful yogis, who crosses the line, who screws up, and then he gets severely punished. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. That was very fascinating topics, lots of fun talking about these things. And we also take some, some lessons from it, understanding the real purpose of reality. So I hope it was useful for you as well. And have your rest of your day with lots of peace and lots of love.